thought of a joke earlier today.
All right, hit me with
I
it.
thought of the idea of a joke,
Yeah,
and I don't have it fully. I have the punchline.
give it to me.
Just the punchline, or do you want me to try to turn it into a joke right now?
Try to turn it into a joke.
Why did the vampire fire his dyslexic familiar?
Why?
Because when he woke up and got out of his coffin, he was in Pennsylvania.
Oh, that's not bad.
The punchline's good. I was
Yeah.
like, Pennsylvania, Transylvania. There
Yeah.
has to be a joke there somewhere that has already been made.
Yeah,
And hey, guess what? It was probably better than that one.
yeah. I could see him getting out of the coffin, or whatever, and yeah, the setup is rough. I could see it more as like a spoof of Dracula movies. Like he wakes up,
I feel like
he's like, "What is this?" And the familiar's like, "This is Pennsylvania." And he's like, "Pennsylvania? I said Transylvania."
No, I feel like it would work best as like a New Yorker cartoon.
Yeah.
It's a vampire on his phone outside of a "Welcome to Pennsylvania" sign.
Yeah.
He's like, "You idiot! I said Transylvania."
I have a couple of those. Like I tried drawing them out.
Yeah.
I'm just not that good. One of them is like an invisible like shape of a human sitting on a dryer or whatever. It's just a couple panels, and by the end of it, the middle one, he like pulls a sheet out, and then the last one is him as a ghost, like the sheet ghost, like walking away, like he was washing the sheet. Is the joke?
I like that. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know how you draw the shape of an invisible man, but
with like little dashes. That's how they do it sometimes, you know.
okay.
Yeah. The other one was, this is my least favorite, but it's the Wolfman,
Mm-hmm.
and he's got like a razor. He's looking in a mirror, and then like the next panel, I don't have a middle panel. Maybe the middle panel is him covered in the stuff, and then the last panel is just him having shaved where the beard was.
That's good. I
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Another one that I had was Frankenstein, and he's doing the walk. But the last panel is him using the paper towel thing in the bathroom because his hands are wet. That's why he's walking like that.
That's also good.
Yeah. I don't have one for Dracula, I don't think. At least I don't remember offhand.
Well, I just gave it to you. He's in Pennsylvania.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, let's draw those out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Eating Soup Alone is a podcast hosted by me, Christopher Crumley, and co-hosted by Nicholas Johnson. We try our best to ramble incoherently about a handful of movies at least once a week.
All right, guess what day it is again?
Friday the 13th.
It's Friday the 13th.
But hey, Chris, it's the final one. It's the last one.
Oh shit.
And then another one.
Yeah,
And then next week we watch two more.
Right, that's true, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. This one's called Jason Goes to Hell. I almost said New York. Jason Goes to Hell. The Final Friday, the Final Friday. First Friday the 13th movie made by New Line Cinema, released in 1993. First, I hit this thing, so I'm just going to say it again. First Friday the 13th movie made by New Line Cinema, released in 1993. I believe called Jason Goes to Hell because they didn't have the rights to Friday the 13th.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was what was going on there. And yeah, the guy, I think his name is like Adam Marcus or some shit like that. 23-year-old, had never made a movie before. Was just in film school, I think, with like Sean Cunningham's son or something like that, and was very, very, very close with Sean Cunningham. And when it came time to make the movie, they were like, "Why don't you give it a shot, buddy?"
Not the nepotism, but
Yeah.
the fact that this movie was made by a 23-year-old guy makes
Yeah.
me like it way more.
Yeah.
Because for a guy who's 23, this
Yeah.
movie, not bad.
Yeah, not bad. Yeah. You got anything to, or are we just gonna?
Oh, we got mail.
Okay.
As always, every week.
All right. Okay.
It's just, yeah, this is a long
All
one.
right. This one, a long one.
Oh, I meant the title on the front is long.
Oh, okay. Jason Goes to Hell, the Final Friday. It's a picture of a dog taking a shit, and this has 5 out of 10. All right.
I mean, 5 out of 10 seems pretty lenient for a dog
It
shit
does.
movie.
It really does.
Anyway, Jason Goes to Heck. Chris, do you have any history with this movie? Is this one you watched a lot as a kid?
Yeah, even as a kid, this one, I don't know how many of our listeners have seen it, but it's kind of like the Halloween Ends of the series, I guess.
Okay.
Just wild detour from like what the movies usually are, is what I mean to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, even as a kid, I don't know, this one always like was like stood out to me.
Yeah.
There's something about it. It's definitely not a Friday the 13th movie. It's one of those things, kind of like we were talking about yesterday with Halloween Ends, where like it's almost like I wish it wasn't a Halloween movie.
Yeah.
And I'd probably like it more, because this thing is kind of more of just like a weird supernatural horror movie that encompasses everything from like body horror to slasher movies. Like it's got little vignettes of like almost every different type of horror in it.
I have a theory on that, but
Okay.
we'll get to it.
Yeah. I assume you not so much history.
No, I've never seen this movie before.
Yeah.
And here's my theory.
All right, let's hear it.
I think in another universe parallel to ours,
Okay.
similar in every possible way,
Okay.
except
Except.
in this universe there are different Friday the 13th movies.
Okay.
Completely different from ours.
Okay.
Same characters, but wildly different premises, wildly different characters. And in the year 1993, for a brief moment, a portal between these two universes opened, and this movie, a print of this movie, came from that universe and fell onto the desk of someone at New Line Cinema, and they went, well, fuck, put it out. Because this movie feels like a sequel to a bunch of Friday the 13th movies we have not seen. Like, there is lore in this movie that comes out of absolutely nowhere.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, everything with Creighton Barrel, or Creighton Duke.
Yeah.
Everything he says sounds like...
Craft and Barrel.
I'm thinking of the place you get pancakes at.
Cracker Barrel.
Cracker Barrel. Everything he says and does in this movie, it feels steeped in, I've been chasing this guy down for movies.
Yeah.
And you've all been there with me.
Oof.
And it all just comes out of nowhere. And it reminds me of like the later Halloween movies with him and the cult and stuff like that. And it's fun. I don't hate this movie. I don't love it, but I had fun.
Yeah.
I think it's fun.
If I'm not mistaken, I think it predates the Cult of Thorn as well.
Okay.
So that's also interesting.
Okay.
Another example of Friday the 13th beating Halloween to the punch and Halloween playing catch up.
Still haven't gone to space, those cowards.
That was a pitch, though, like an early pitch. John Carpenter said that if he were to have made, like, I think the fourth one, I think it was the fourth one, he was like, space station. That's where you sent Michael. And they were like, John Carpenter's off his rocker. And then what happened? Apparently, Carpenter was just ahead of his time, because in the 90s, they sent everyone to space.
Yeah. And then they did the opposite with Michael, put him in the sewer.
They did put him in the
That's
sewer.
the opposite of space.
Yeah. So from the rip, this movie tries to pull the rug out from underneath you a little bit.
Yeah.
It does, in my opinion, it does what Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 does with its first 10 minutes, where at the end of it, it's like, psych, bitch, you thought.
Yeah.
No, this is my movie, honey. Yeah.
There's the woman, she's walking around Camp Crystal Lake.
Yes. Before we even finish that, though, I do off the bat want to say that like the one thing this reminds me of the most is a really bad, and I mean this in an endearing way, a really bad episode of the X-Files is what this reminds me of.
Yes, absolutely. I feel that 100% from the few episodes of that I've seen, for sure.
Yeah, so lady is hanging out in a cabin alone. It's quiet for a long time. She's there's a bulb out. She goes to fix a bulb, gets in the shower, power goes out. She runs from Jason.
And a lot like the rest of these movies.
Yeah.
We get to that scene where she gets naked and she gets in the shower, and I just imagine that actress reading that script and going, I'm a cop? Yeah? That's what I'm supposed to be doing? I'm an undercover police officer? No, all right.
Yes. So this part is a part that I personally like. I don't know that this part really works for me too much.
I love it. I love that him just getting blown to bits and like the triumphant military music playing while they're all.
Yeah, but also like it's just one of those things where like I'm not trying to be like nitpicky, but like just thinking about the FBI putting together this task force and this woman to go undercover so that they can try to blow up. What they've accepted, I guess, it's like I said, it's like the X-Files or something. They just have accepted that he's like an natural, supernatural killing machine, and they're like, oh, we got it. It's a sting op, but nobody's getting arrested.
Absolutely.
Bring in the H-bomb.
Yeah.
Or dropping a little bomb on this boy.
I love it.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest, I wish this bit had been. I knew that this happened at the beginning of it. I wish it had not. Because just the sight of those floodlights coming on, and then like literally there's like trumpet, like snare drum, like military, like do 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 do, like music playing while they're all just blasting into them. And also,
what are you doing? Do 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 do.
Yes.
Like American Dad, is that?
It might be, yeah. Yeah, basically it. They play the American Dad theme song and just blow them to bits. And jumping ahead to the end here.
Yeah.
By far stinkiest Jason.
You think so?
Look at the man.
We really disagree on this, and we'll get to it at the end. I really love this Jason design. I don't think that it should have been in more than one movie or anything like that. I like it as like a one-off. Like, you know, the way that like Batman gets treated. Like if you write your own little one, you get to make them look how you like. I like it in that way. It's like its own little thing that I'm like, that's an interesting design. Because like just for juxtaposition, I guess, like the 7th one, they try to make him look all zombie and gross.
Yeah.
That didn't really work, but I do like this one where he's just like, you know, I was listening to the special effects guys talk about like what they were going for with Jason. They were talking about they were going for like a diseased look. They were going for like a look where like he's been wearing the mask for so long that his skin's starting to grow over it.
He looks like you ever walk through the woods and see like a tree that has grown around a bike that's been left there for 50 years. That's what he looks like. Yeah,
and it's one of those things where I even think the design itself could have been done better. For some reason, Kane Hodder, I don't like Jason big, but him wearing the baggy clothes make him look so scrawny.
Okay,
a little bit. He just looks a little weird. But that face and head design, like, he really does look like a nice contemporary to the 90s update, like in that era modern monster, like definitely monstrous in an appropriate to the 90s sense, I guess.
It's just if I'm being honest, the thing that takes it out for me is the long stringy patches of hair that he has everywhere.
I like it.
I hate how gross it is, because I think without those he looks great.
Yeah.
But like with that, it just destroys the whole thing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of harkens back to the second one when you take the sack off and he has long hair, actually, you know?
It's like, say you're at a gig somewhere and you meet a dude. He's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You're like, I like this guy. I think I could be friends with this guy. He seems pretty chill. We have a lot of common interests. And at one point, he takes his hands out from under the table and starts expressing with them, and you see these just crazy, long, disgusting fingernails, and you're like, no, just ruined. I don't like this guy anymore.
I spent all that time talking about it now, though, because this movie spent so much time and care, apparently, into crafting their own unique Jason that lands, in my opinion. And then they don't spend any time with Jason, technically. Like, that Jason design is not used.
Kane Hodder is barely in this movie.
Yeah. They blow him to bits. They take him to a... what was referred to frequently as a top secret government facility to do this autopsy. That's why Kane Hodder is doing a cameo as some sort of security person, and they're hassling who's actually the director of this movie, Adam Marcus, or whatever his name is, as he's going in to help the coroner do a autopsy. I don't like the credit sequence. This is nitpicky, but it goes from like blaring loud to like this dude just like quietly whispering into the thing as he's doing the autopsy. It's just awkward and jarring.
I get that, yeah.
But anyways, something about J-Dog's heart.
Fat as hell. They're like, bro, 2 times the size of a normal man's
sopping.
Heart. So I don't know why that's so funny.
But there's something about it that compels the coroner to consume it.
Yes, he just I forgot about that.
Yeah, because you started talking about like, oh, it's so big, and I was like, yeah, but I'm talking about the big old bite.
Yeah. Homie's just looking at it, and he goes, and then just shoves it in his mouth and starts eating it.
Again, it's one of those things like Halloween Ends, where it's like, as a like a Friday the 13th movie, like, yeah, weird choice, but like as a general horror movie,
love it.
Image, I like it. I do like it. Then the director kind of comes in and he starts like shit talking Jason. It's just another display of these movies, and they've been doing it for quite some time, and all kinds of like schlocky B movies and stuff do it. I'm not like anti-cursing and shit like that, but like they just like try to weirdly shoehorn it in. Like for some reason he's like, hey, look, you could just say whatever you want to Jason because he's dead as a doornail on this slab. Hey, fuck you ass dick. Why don't you fuck it sideways? I don't know why that was in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
But then he gets probed.
Jason?
Jason does the probing.
Oh, yes.
He's got that big thing, and he's
yes,
like,
yes.
yeah, that's a probe. And then he stabs him or whatever in the back of the head or whatever the hell.
Oh, because he's the coroner now.
Yeah, consuming the heart has put it in his... do we get a little bit of the red flary things going into his chest in that opening?
I don't believe so.
Okay. For some reason, I feel like he did get a little bit. But I like this actor who plays the coroner. He's got a great look.
Oh, yeah.
Does have a really good look. I like that guy. Then we get kind of a wild transition. The coroner, who is actually Jason on the inside, walks past Kane Hodder and the other security guard, says some stuff about Jason being a pussy, and then Jason murders both of them, but you don't see it on camera. It just hard cuts to the news.
Playing a live murder, yeah.
Yeah, playing their footage of their dead bodies. And I believe this anchor is... What's that?
Sorry, who's the anchor?
He's the boyfriend of our
Yes.
main lady. What's her name?
Marissa.
Is it Marissa?
No, I just made that up.
I gotta look now.
Do you know who the cameraman is, though?
No.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Really? Made that up.
It's because Nightcrawler. He records that murder and they put it on the news.
Is her name Jessica Kimball?
I don't know.
She's the niece of Jason Voorhees and the daughter of Diana Kimball, so I think so. I believe it's Jessica, and I think she's dating Robert Campbell. I think Robert is the news anchor.
Okay.
But anyways, he's got something about like the whole, oh, Jason's escaped from the morgue or whatever. You liked this scene, didn't you? When we were watching it, you got a giggle out of this. It was so wild and over the top, and it came out of nowhere.
No, I don't remember.
You don't remember? It's supposed to be like a Dateline thing. It's funny. It's over the top.
Oh, yeah. No, I thought you meant like something happened directly after that I loved.
No.
Yeah, no, I do love that. It felt very this might be inaccurate, but it reminded me of Videodrome a bit.
Okay.
I haven't seen Videodrome in a long time.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, as I mentioned, there is a little body horror in there, and tonally, I could see. Yeah, I can see what you're talking about for sure. Yeah.
And then do we go to the diner where her mom is?
We might meet. Yeah, them.
Oh, we meet Creighton Duke.
Oh, right. Creighton Duke is on the TV.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Creighton Duke is getting interviewed. And this is a weird little scene. I'm curious if it's, I don't know, necessarily intended, but at least for me, it reads a little bit like maybe a commentary on like how everybody always talks about how like death and sex is so intertwined in slasher movies, because he says, I'm going to say a name, and you tell me what you think. Jason Voorhees. And he's like, well, that makes me think of a little girl in a white dress pushing a hot dog through a donut.
Yeah.
Then I think we go to the diner.
Creighton Duke is the best character in any of the. I'm going to say all of these.
Yeah,
I haven't
like Creighton Duke a lot.
I haven't seen the next two. I can't imagine anyone's going to top Creighton Duke.
Stephen Williams, he's actually in the X-Files. He plays Mr. X. He is a secret informant to Fox Mulder for a little while.
Okay.
Great actor. He was just at the Motor City Comic Con. I could have met him.
Whoa.
Could have met him. You could have met him too.
I'm always getting, Chris, you know me. My spare time, every now and then I like to collect an action figure or two, put it up on a shelf and go, neat. All the time I'm seeing Jason from this movie, Jason from that movie by NECA.
The Creighton
Ultimate
Duke toy?
Jason from episode 7. Oh, here's Jason. Remember the one where it's Roy instead of Jason? Well, here's a figure of Jason from the beginning where he pops out of the grave and it's actually Jason. Huh? You want all these Jasons? No, I want Creighton Duke. I want a Creighton Duke action figure to hold in my backpack at all times to keep me safe.
I love the diner.
I have a note here that says, diner is weird.
Yeah, I think some of the stuff kind of reminds me of really shitty attempt at almost like Fire Walk with Me era Twin Peaks kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
This is the exact time. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean that in a way that I like a little bit, even though I don't think it's reaching the artistic highs of something like Twin Peaks. But yeah, the diner is like a 1950s style diner. Waitresses are wearing, Twin Peaks Double R diner attire. They're having a Jason is Dead like special.
Yeah. It's funny that you bring that up. Not the special, but this one is very X-Files, Twin Peaks,
Yeah.
and the next one is Firefly, Buffy. Because they're just like, what do kids like now?
Yeah.
And they were wrong. It's like, what did kids like 2 years ago?
Yeah, I've always said that this one's like a mix of like one part, shitty X-Files episode, one part shitty Twin Peaks knockoff, and one small part Friday the 13th. But yeah, they're having a Jason special. They're making Jason burgers. The son's in the back like, is this good? What do you mean make them like hockey masks? This is dumb. And the mom comes to the back. She's like, what are you talking about? You got to cut out the little eyes. You cut out the little eyes. And look at that. Enough beef to make another burger. Hence the 2-for-1 special.
Right.
And her husband is backwards ball cap. And she's like, that's why I love this woman. Come here, Pookie. And they like kiss and stuff. And yeah, they're
this woman's also the only person out of any of these movies to have a New Jersey accent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, besides the mayor, this is a small town.
Yes, except for the mayor.
Small towns are supposed to be safe.
No, it's not. Sorry to everybody listening. This is a visual bit. It's not, this is a small town. It's, this is a small town.
Yeah. But anyways, throughout a series of small diner bits, you get the idea that like, Creighton Duke is here, and he's our first hint at this. Mm-hmm. He talks to Diana, who is Jessica's mom, cryptically about how important she is to this Jason situation. We learn later that she's supposed to be Jason's sister, and that Jessica is her daughter, making her the niece of Jason. We meet a character later, Steven. He bumps into the kids that are like going to Crystal Lake, and he's like, what are you guys gonna do, drink and smoke and then premarital sex and then get slaughtered or whatever, which is blah.
Bad line.
Yeah, but then she's like, yeah, we were thinking about drinking and smoking and having premarital sex and not getting slaughtered because Jason's dead.
Okay, I don't know if this was supposed to be funny or not, but it made me laugh.
Yeah.
He was on the phone with waitress.
Yeah.
She went, you got to be here exactly at this time. Or they talked in person. She's like, you got to, don't dilly-dally. I know you. You got to be here exactly at this time. And he's in his car. And he's on his way. Then he's like, I'm going to pick up these hitchhikers. I got nothing going on.
Yeah. I think that's her mom.
Yes.
Because I think what's going on at this point, what I was rounding up to, is that Steven is Jessica's ex-boyfriend. We get later that I guess that he abandoned her, and he's never actually met his daughter. But Jessica has a daughter.
Still has a relationship with the mom?
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah. Because at this point, he's tried to get back with her, but she doesn't want to hear from him. So the closest he can do is talk to the mom.
Okay.
But anyways, basically, we definitely see those kids who are going to drink and smoke and have premarital sex get murdered. You noted this. One woman goes off to piss in the woods, and you hear the piss, and then she gets murdered. And then another girl goes off to piss, and you hear the piss, and she gets murdered.
There are two back-to-back scenes of two different women pissing in the woods.
Yeah.
So, less props to the 23-year-old guy.
Yeah. Then a couple in the woods, they're in the tent, they sex, and Jason cuts one of them kind of up instead of side to side.
Yeah, just
right
up. Down the middle, down, up. Yeah.
Yeah, just up. I think at some point during all of this, Jason has swapped bodies from the coroner to the sheriff.
Yes. He has a house now, Jason.
Yeah, the Voorhees house. Yes.
And in there,
he takes the sheriff there
and straps him to the table
with leathers. It's leather straps.
Yes. And he covers him in shaving cream and shaves off his mustache.
Yeah.
Now, Chris, you're the aficionado of these movies.
Yeah.
Why?
I will tell you, Adam Marquez actually has a reasoning. One of the things that he wanted to do with this movie, these are his words, was to kind of quote unquote even up the score a little bit. I don't remember seeing much, but he says that he tried to show just as much nude man and like man ass as he did like naked women.
I saw some man ass in this, yeah.
Yeah.
Just one.
Yeah. So he wanted to, and you only really see that one lady in the beginning kind of get naked, I guess. But anyways, so this was another example of him trying to like just in any little way he could put things into Friday the 13th movies that you've never seen. So in his words, he was like, if you really break down the essence of this scene, it is one man shaving another man and then kissing him on the mouth. So yeah, I just thought it would be interesting to put something that was, sort of vaguely, in a sense, homoerotic in there. So
Well,
do with that what you will.
There was nothing big about it.
But basically that kiss gives the sheriff the Jason disease now. Later on, we see that it's a disgusting, horrible monster that he kisses people's mouths to give to them.
Yes.
But then we go to a scene that, again, like I said, reminds me of like something almost Twin Peaksy, where like she's in her like rural log cabin-y house, still in her waitress outfit. Jessica's mom, Diana, is. And the sheriff shows up, and she's like, "Oh, geez, what are you doing here?" And he just goes, "Whoa," and tries to throw up an evil spirit into her mouth. And then a man with a Letterman jacket shows up and tries to save her. She ends up getting stabbed because Jason like throws something across the room and stabs him in the back or whatever. And our Mr. Steven like pushes the sheriff out the window, and he's just a loose now. Jason in the sheriff body is a loose. Diana is dead. Task handled. But then like I think the real cops show up and just think that Steven has murdered Jessica's mom now. Is basically how that whole thing plays out.
Just like Halloween Kills.
Just like Halloween Kills. Or ends? Or kills?
Ends.
Ends, okay.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Did they mention that Jason has to get in the body of
I think that comes in this next scene when he's in the cell.
Okay.
Which is what we're
I
gearing
thought
up
it
to.
happened before.
He might have said a little bit of something. But I
Okay.
know for a definitive fact that it happens here. Steven ends up in a jail cell next to Creighton Duke. And Creighton Duke
Is in jail because
he was shit-talking the sheriff, and the sheriff just threw him up in there.
he wants to be in jail.
Because he wants to be
It
in
was
jail.
part of his plan all along
part of
because
his
he
plan
knew
all along.
Letterman jacket was going to get thrown
Yeah.
in jail.
He's playing 4D chess out here.
Oh, absolutely.
But previous in the movie, he's already mentioned the prices, and the people have prices. He names his price as $500,000 for killing Jason, which the boyfriend of Jessica, Robert, the guy who does Dateline, is willing to put up. And so he basically tells Steven he has information, but everything costs something, and he proceeds to still like break one of his fingers for each of the questions he asks.
And like what you're saying about like the mustache shaving scene being kind of homoerotic.
Yeah.
When he's telling him, he's like, "Oh, everything's got a price."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Give me your hand." And
Yeah.
he's just kind of holding and like kind of caressing his hand.
Yeah.
He's like, "Are you willing to pay the price?" I was
Yeah.
like,
I like this scene.
I was like, "Creighton Duke, are you gonna have sex with this man?"
I actually like this scene.
I do.
It
really
reminds me of like almost I Think You Should Leave. Like I know that we've summed up I Think You Should Leave as like it runs on the logic of children. Like
Yeah.
that's where that guy's humor comes from, in my opinion, in a very good way. I really do like it. But that's kind of like what I think of when I think of the scene. Like it just almost seems like only a child would be like, "Yeah, go ahead and keep breaking my fingers." And they have like a weird like boyhood bond that happens because of it. Because by the time that he asks his like third question, Creighton pauses for a moment. He's like, "This one's on the house," and he's like earned his respect, kind of a thing. It's this
Yeah.
weird like
because it's like
middle school almost kind of dynamic.
absolutely.
Yeah,
I love this whole scene just because of Creighton Duke. Every scene he's in, he just kills like. Just he's like kind of giddy to be doing this, but also still kind of serious. But like,
he's a perfect example of almost like an anti-hero kind of a
Yeah,
thing. Like he
he's-
plays by his own rules, but in general, he's working towards the right goal.
but also I feel like constantly, at the same time, everything he's doing is motivated by. Oh, I just kind of want to do this. Like, why is he breaking his fingers?
'Cause he can.
Because
He
I
can get
can.
away
I
with
know.
it, like-
This man. I can get this. I can talk this man into letting me
Yeah.
break his fingers. I'm gonna do it a couple
Yeah,
times.
he's the way he is because there's something about his essence that allows people to allow him to do
Yeah,
these things.
absolutely.
You know what I mean? So now he's clued in. He knows what's up. Basically, what's up is what follows. You know, like I said, general horror movie stuff. Okay, introducing it into the Friday the 13th movie, weird, but also it's the 9th one, so who gives a fuck? He basically explains that Jason doesn't just exist in that form, kind of like what the last two Halloween movies of the David Gordon Green trilogy have tried to do, the whole idea that like evil is contagious or can take on any shape or whatever. But basically what he's saying is that like there's an evil spirit basically that lives inside of him. That's what Jason actually is. If you destroy his body, doesn't matter because he's really a demon on the inside that can manifest in anybody. But at this point, because of the bombs, they done blown up his home, his favorite body to be up in. And the only way for him to get it back is to get inside of a woman from his bloodline.
Do they say it has to be a woman or just
They
part
don't.
of his bloodline?
It is bloodline.
There just happens to be 2 women left.
Yeah. And the daughter, the little baby daughter. So,
And the baby, yeah.
Yeah. I guess there's only 2 at that point because Diana's dead. But anyways.
Oh, yeah, right. In my notes, I wrote down, I already don't remember who this waitress is. And then 2 notes later, I wrote, the waitress died before I found out who she was.
So, at this point, for the second time in this film series, our main hero hatches a plan to get out of a jail cell. He's showing his friend cop that his broken fingers, and he steals the gun from him, gets a loose, right?
Oh, right. I forgot about friend cop, yeah.
Yeah. He beelines for the Voorhees house, and who's in there? Robert. And he's just being a shitty Wall Street fat cat type businessman guy where he's just in there talking about it like... Well, I should mention also that Steven found the Necronomicon.
Oh, yes.
Because canonically, yes, Jason is a Deadite.
Is it the knife that they stab him with at the end, the one from Evil
I
Dead?
believe it is as well, yeah. I
Yeah.
believe that both those props were dropped off on set by Sam Raimi in a bag. And the Freddy Krueger glove showed up in a briefcase that was handcuffed to Wes Craven's wrist. So it just shows
That's so
you
funny.
the kind of imbalance there. But anyways, basically he finds the Necronomicon. Then he hears Steven come and hides. Steven basically explains that he's stolen his girlfriend's dead mom's body to hide in the house for ratings because he's going to have the camera crew in there discover it there. And he's got this whole elaborate plan and yada, 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 whatever. Jason...
He's just like Nightcrawler.
He is. Jason shows up in whatever body he's inhabiting at this point. I think it's still the sheriff.
Yes, that was one of my favorite things. That
Yeah.
sheriff bursts in, and I thought, oh, fuck, we haven't seen this guy in like 40 minutes.
And yeah, then Steven at some point ends up, I think, like Diana falls on him all dead and stuff, and he's in there with the dead body or whatever. I believe Jason takes off.
Jason takes Newsman.
Yeah, he takes Newsman's body.
And you see Sheriff Man's body melt.
Oh yeah,
So cool.
It's a really
Looks
cool effect.
so
Yeah,
good,
a little bit
yeah.
of body horror. He's like on the floor and he gets up, but his jawbone stays in the goopy.
Yeah, his body is
Bit,
just
and he's just
melting into the
melting.
floor while
Yeah.
he's trying to get up and stuff.
Yeah.
Awful.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing to like have happen to the body once Jason leaves,
Yeah.
because you didn't need to have anything like that. He could have just left the body and then it's just the body, but instead they have it like melt. This weird little body horror vignette. From there, I think Steven like beelines for the diner, and they're in there with guns, and they know that Steven's probably going to come there, like the waitress and her line cook boyfriend or whatever, and they're talking to Jessica about how he's probably going to come here, whatever the hell. He's in the back looking at his baby, and then like a dishwashing boy comes up, and he's like, "This is the first time I've seen my daughter." And the dishwashing boy's like, "Steven, you got to get out of here. Take my car." Then, wait, is he now? He can't be Newsman yet.
Yeah, we might have... Did we skip forward
I
a
think
little
we
bit?
skipped forward a
I
little
think
bit.
he goes from here to the Voorhees house, and then we see all that. I think he makes a beeline for the diner to find baby.
When is he back? Because he's back at the police station, and the Newsman attacks the police station at one point. And that's something that almost reminds me of like a George Romero zombie movie, because they keep like putting bullets into him, and he's got all this like black shit coming out of his bullet holes and like his mouth. The Newsman does.
Yeah, because he goes and he finds baby mama,
Yeah,
and then they go to the police station.
yeah,
Man, this is all
I don't
just a
remember
big
how
mess
it-
in my head.
yeah. I don't remember how exactly this all plays out, but yeah, that is one scene. I do like all the stuff that happens at the police station. The diner thing happens, and then there is a scene where the diner gets attacked. I guess by Robert or whatever.
The newsman, yeah.
Yeah, and Jessica makes off without Steven, I
Okay.
think. Anyways, I should just mention that, at first Jessica believes that Steven is a murderer and has killed Robert, because there is the point where he runs over Robert.
Yes, and that's where, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's what happens. I think that predates them going to the police station, because he gets abandoned and the cop finds him again, and the cop tells him, like, he's like, you're not gonna take me to jail, and then the cop's like, Jessica's at the jail, and he's like, then take me to the jail.
Yeah.
Because at that point she still believes that Robert's dead, because he has that one line which I like, where he's like, you really think I killed Robert? He's like, Robert ain't dead. And then Robert shows up again later, and that's when she finally sides with Steven and decides we got to figure this shit out. Anyways.
There's that nice little scene with him and Friend Cop.
Yes.
Where he's just like, come on, man, I have a gun.
Yeah, and he's like, I have a gun too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do like their little friendship. I think they got a nice little friendship. Because, like, in the beginning, like, the cop is like, I know you didn't do this, man. I'm going to do anything I can to get you out of here. And then later on, he's mad because the dude double-crossed him to, like, get out of jail kind of a thing. And that's when they're bickering there. But anyways, we finally, I don't think I'm missing too much. I think we messed up the timeline a little bit. But at the end, basically, it all ends up in the Voorhees house. Creighton Duke is there already because that's right, there was like a note in the baby's little cradle. It's like at the house or whatever, because Creighton Duke, just too cool, shows up, has the baby. Jessica's like, give me the baby back, and he's like, I'll give you the baby back, but I need 2 minutes from you. He's like, you got to kill Jason. She's like, I don't want to kill nobody. I just want to take my body and get out, baby, and get out of here. And he's like, there is no getting out of here. He's just gonna keep coming from you unless you kill him. I'm
gonna start saying that when I want to leave. I'm gonna take my body and I'm gonna get out of here.
My baby. And then he throws a knife at her and she catches it and it turns into the Evil Dead dagger.
Hell yeah, it does.
Then Jason busts in. Steven's there too. They wrestle with him and stuff like that. The dagger falls underneath the the dresser.
Don't they? He's not Jason yet, right?
No, yeah, he's trying to like get his like worm into somebody else, and then it just gets loose, and it's like running around on the floor.
Yeah.
And
then people making this movie, like the director's like, I don't know, I want something that looks like kind of like it came out of Alien.
Yeah, this bit reminds me of...
in a picture of the face hugger and the xenomorph up. He's like, I don't know, something like this.
Yeah.
And the designers of this movie were like, well, if we just put those two together. And he's like, yeah, sure, fine, why not?
This whole bit gives me big Evil Dead vibes, especially with like Creighton Duke falling into the basement, and then the head hugger thing being down there too. Creighton Duke dies down there?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. And then like Steven... Oh, no, I don't think he's dead just yet because they're up there. And Steven says, like, hey, Creighton, you said he needs to get inside of a woman to come back to life. And he's like, yeah. And he's like, does it have to be alive? And then they all like look at each other. And I think they can hear him from the basement making noises or something like that.
Because Newsman brought Dead Mom there, and so Dead Mom's just in the basement.
Yeah. And I will say that. I'm not saying it's well written, but that is a nice way that earlier they planted the seed she's already there.
Yep.
Yeah, not bad.
It's nice. And they fight for a while.
He busts out of the floor.
Hell yeah.
They fight for a while. And long story short, after some tumbling and all kinds of stuff, Steven gets knocked into like a jungle gym, and the jungle gym falls on top of him. Basically, Jessica jumps on top of him, stabs him in the chest.
And then a beam of light comes down.
Yeah, but also like there's a little bit of punching, and she kicks it a little bit further into his chest. Yeah.
Yeah, but mainly,
the
point is,
the Lord saved
Jesus Christ of Nazareth came down and saved them.
Yeah. They beam a light of holy light, the beam of holy light right on down to Jason, and then some big old like Jim Henson fucking puppeted like clay kind of like hands come out of the ground and like
big sandy hands, big goofy monster hands come and pull them down,
and they grab all on Jason and they grab a little bit on Steven and basically they pull him down to hell, I guess. I believe Jesus Christ of Nazareth damned him to hell.
As he should.
As he should. He definitely belongs in hell.
Yeah.
And then the movie kind of ends with like a little shot of them kind of silhouetted, I think, just kind of walking into the orange morning sun a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then a dog comes along. Jason's mask in the sand, and the dog comes along, and the dog goes away. And then Kane Hodder's hand covered in the Freddy gloves grabs the mask, and you hear someone try to do a Freddy laugh. And the mask gets pulled into presumably hell, and the credits roll.
Is that where Freddy lives? Does Freddy live in hell?
I guess so.
Okay.
I guess so. That's actually continuity that continues into the next installment. Not the 10, not Jason X, but the Freddy vs. Jason.
Yeah.
The exposition for that one is that they're both kind of in hell, and Freddy wants, influence on the real world again. And to do so, he decides to manipulate Jason into rising again because he has that ability. So he basically gets into Jason's dreams and appears to him as his mother and tells him that he's got to go to Elm Street and he's got to kill those kids or whatever. And basically what Freddy's doing is using Jason to like cause fear there.
Well, go on.
Because given the proximity to like Elm Street and stuff like that, they're just going to assume that Freddy Krueger's doing it again. People will start to believe in him again, think about him, and that's what gives him power, is the which is kind of classic like demonology stuff, that like acknowledging a demon is what gives it power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, I'm sure like an earthquake or a tsunami is happening, so our Lord and Savior is busy, so he can't step in on this one yet.
Yeah, he can't. Yeah, full plate. All right, so that's Jason Goes to Hell in a nutshell.
It sure is.
It is. Yeah, like I said, I mean, it could be boring. It could be bad. It could be bland, depending on your taste and stuff like that. Depending on my taste, I just think it's a pretty good time.
It is. I think it's this movie's fun for sure.
Yeah.
It's not good in any way, shape, or form. The only shape that's good in this is the shape of Creighton Duke.
Yeah.
But everything else around it's just go wacky.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I just think it's interesting that we ended up, Halloween Ends ended up coming out really close to this one. I don't think Halloween Ends is necessarily, I don't know which one. I think they're both of the same ilk in a sense. They're both not good, but there is some fun to be had there.
Absolutely.
I may prefer Jason Goes to Hell. I don't know. Maybe I prefer the other one. I don't know. But
I just think Jason Goes to Hell could use a little bit more drive.
Yeah. So yeah, what a wild movie. I don't, it's also one of those things like, I'm not comparing these all in terms of quality because I think there's a clear winner here. But it is something like Season of the Witch or Halloween Ends, where it's just like, what a wild amount of free reign this cast and crew and the writers and everybody were given to, with this intellectual property.
Yeah, like I did that big bit about it earlier, but this movie feels like it comes from another universe. Yeah. And it's I want to say it's insane that they let them do this, but it's not. It's the 9th of these movies. Yeah. And at this point they're like, we'll just do whatever. I don't care. Just make money with this IP that we have. Yeah.
So any closing thoughts on this thing?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
4 out of 10.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it that's right, we do letters. I'm gonna give this movie a flat D.
Yeah, I think a flat D is definitely fair.
Yeah.
I think a flat D is definitely fair. I'm going to do the same. Like I said, it's... is it a Friday the 13th movie? No, not really.
No, not at all. Doesn't have it in the title anywhere, so...
Yeah. But it is a weird, messy amalgam of a lot of horror movies smashed together.
Absolutely, yeah.
In a very fun way that kind of reminds me of, like I said, something like Season of the Witch or Halloween Ends, or it's got a little bit of a shitty X-Files vibe to it. It's got a little bit of a shitty Twin Peaks vibe to it. It's got a little bit of a shitty Cronenberg movie vibe to it. It's just... Would it be fair to say it's almost like... it's not in terms of quality, but it's almost like Adam Marcus was a little horror movie Quentin Tarantino. Like, how like...
Yeah, no, I was just thinking about that. Adam Marcus... for being 23, insane, the balls on this kid to make this movie, but B, go, and what if he's a Deadite? What if it's also tied into Evil Dead? And the balls on him to C, go, also I want Freddy Krueger to show up at the end.
Yeah. He did, I did see a talking head where he talks about that. He was like, I had that idea and I pitched it to the boardroom and they just fucking loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Because at that point, basically since the Carrie Friday the 13th, they'd been trying to cross the two over,
Oh, yeah.
That's why you ended up fighting Carrie, is because Paramount and New Line Cinema couldn't agree, but now New Line Cinema owns it. And so, not to get too far ahead of myself, but the next film we're about to talk about, Jason X, the only reason why it came out was because they wanted to hold the fans over, quote unquote, or whatever the fuck, and help them not forget about Jason River in the interim between Goes to Hell and Freddy vs. Jason. Freddy vs. Jason ended up taking 10 years, and Jason X ended up getting shelved until literally the same year as Freddy vs. Jason, so task not accomplished.
That's so funny. I didn't know they came out the same year. Why did it take 10 years for Freddy vs. Jason to come out?
Just getting... They just went through, apparently from what I've heard, just dozens of scripts and just really wanted to get the idea right and make sure they had the right story and the right this, that, and the other. I don't know, they were just very worried about getting it right for some reason. I don't know.
And in your opinion, did they?
I think it's a very... I'm not a fan of Freddy vs. Jason, but I can respect that. I think they did a good job of crossing it over. My problems with Freddy vs. Jason don't lie in the spine that they built the movie around.
Okay.
It more so just has to do with like the era it came out in.
I understand it completely.
Because just like Jason X, like it's one of those things where like by that point, like you had your Joss Whedons and your Kevin Williamsons doing the snide, snarky fourth wall break stuff. So like just any horror movie from like 96 to like 2005 had to be that way. And yeah, there's just like, you know, a character that's just clearly a Jay and Silent Bob ripoff, and you know, your main cast are just like, I know this is a weird thing to say, but like just an unbelievably 2003 sexy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're not just kids. They look like Gap models. And in general, it just kind of has that like very dark, like gray but chic and sharp look that like a lot of aughts horrors opted for.
Yeah. We watched the trailer yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah. And then in general, I'm not necessarily a Monster Mash fan, but I'm not gonna hold that against it. But yeah, so we're gonna get there. That's next week.
It's next week, baby.
That's next week. But right now, it's time to examine.
Do you want to do your little list?
My little list. Oh yeah, you're right. Thanks for reminding me.
Mm-hmm. Someone's got to run the show.
Yeah.
That's why I'm the co-host.
Yeah.
I'm here to keep you on track.
All right. Friday the 13th. Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday. Here's my questions from the bottom of the lake. Jason's Drip. We talked about it a bit. I like it. You don't.
I don't, just because of the hair. Yeah.
Okay.
Sucks.
All right, wrap that one up quick. Vibes.
Vibes.
Like I said,
write that down somehow. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm gonna give it a thumbs up just because, like I said, it somehow feels like the X-Files and Twin Peaks at the same time, and like, you know what I mean? Like it's just got, like, it doesn't have the vibes of either of those.
It's got a very specific 1993 stink on it.
Yeah, but it definitely feels like tangential to those things. Like I can feel the influence of both of those things. I'm not saying it ever reaches the heights of either of those shows because those are two separate vibes from even each other.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just so like sandwiched somewhere in the culture of that time that I like them. Overall ranking. I'll give you a little refresh. Your current ranking is 5, 4, 6, 2, 3, 1, 8, 7.
I'm gonna put it right under 2.
Okay. All right. 5, 4, 6, 2, 9, 3, 1, 8, 7. For me, mine are basically 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then 8, 7. I put Takes Manhattan just a little bit above the Carrie one. As for this one, I would probably put it right underneath 4. I'm probably going 6, 5, 4, 9, 3, 2, 1.
That's
8,
respectable.
7. Yeah. This is the one that almost universally fans hate. They consider this one worse than Jason X or the reboot or Freddy vs. Jason. In fact, most fans really do genuinely appreciate Freddy vs. Jason. They really genuinely appreciate the reboot, and they, in a campy sense, definitely embrace Jason X. Mm-hmm. It's close to the end, but not in the way that Jason Goes to Hell is. This one's like vilified in the community. Like people just hate Jason Goes to Hell. So there's a little bit of trivia for you. Back to the questions. Favorite character, I think I can speak for both of us when I say Creighton Duke.
Who would it be? Yeah, it's Creighton Duke. Yeah, with a bullet, yeah.
So good. You've already mentioned as well, Jason be stankin' the worst, you think?
Stankin' the absolute worst, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I
overgrowth over his mask, he's infected for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something I wish they would have shown in the movie, just because I feel like it would fit in with this whole weird horror amalgam that the movie's going for.
How he eats.
Have you ever seen Underneath the Mask?
Yeah. In this
one, what this design is.
No.
Basically what it is like, it's just a skeleton.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
Okay.
there is no skin there. How's that fit with you?
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Favorite scare in this one? It could just be anything spooky. We've covered this a couple of times. It doesn't have to be something that's like, oh, shit, that was spooky.
I'm going to say...
I think I got to give it to the man melting into the floor.
I'm going to give it to the man.
But I really want to give it to the big clay hands.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
I love the big clay hands.
Then yours is big clay hands. Mine's melting on the floor, yeah.
All right. Best worst.
Best, him eating the heart.
Yeah.
Worst,
Oh, that's something else we totally forgot to mention. I love, again, it's something that gives me the Twin Peaks vibes. I love that when you see his reflection, no matter what shape he takes on,
Yes.
you see his form.
Yes, that's
just like
pretty
Bob.
just like a vampire.
Just like Bob.
Just like Bob. Or a vampire.
But anyways, best or worst? Slash worst.
Best, eating the heart. Worst, we mentioned something that was bad earlier. Fuck, what was it? Oh, the what are you going to do? Go do drugs and have premarital
shit.
sex? That's the worst, yeah.
That is absolutely the worst. As for best, that's a tall order. Because there are a lot that are contenders in this one. I feel like this one is full of really good moments. Like
I changed my answer.
Okay, go ahead.
Best is Creighton Duke breaking that dude's fingers.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I was thinking Creighton Duke breaking those fingers. Oh, I didn't give my favorite scare. Oh, yeah, I did. Yeah, it was the big hands.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you with the Creighton Duke breaking the fingers.
Great.
That wraps it up. I mean, like I said, I think this ranks among the most fun of these movies. I
Of
really do.
these late stage, yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah, that's the way that I usually look at it. Is like, 1 through 3 is its own little bit.
They're their own little trilogies.
Yeah, 4 through 6, and then there's 7 through 9. Usually I lump 10 in there. That one ends up being a 4-y. Or do you lump that in with Freddy? And
I would lump that in with these, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it feels like it ignores everything else, and I'm going to assume these next two
I
do as
gotcha.
well, yeah.
But yeah, it's really tough because 1 through 3, I don't know what my favorite would be. Probably 3, just because I like the way Jason look and the 3D's fun, and you get all those goofy bits with like him lifting his mask up and stuff. 4 through 6, 6, 5, 4 is how I rank them. But goddamn, are they neck and neck? I really think that those 3, that's prime.
Yeah, that's
the prime.
Yeah, those are the best, yeah.
Yeah. And then 7, 8, 9. Yeah, this one easily takes the cake for me. I would easily again rank it like 9, 8, 7.
Yeah.
It's weird how the series keeps ramping up.
Mm-hmm.
Not in the sense that it's like from the first one to the 9th one, it just keeps getting better, but like it goes like 1, 2, 3, and then there's a huge jump from 4, 5, 6, and then there's a huge drop, and then there's not really much movement, but then 9 goes back up. Anyways, and then 10, Freddy vs. Jason, a reboot. Damn, I mean, that's a stretch I just don't care for.
We'll talk about it next week.
Well, we'll get to talk about 1 right now.
We'll talk about 2/3 of it next week.
That's true. Up next is Jason X.
Because he looks like the Terminator. Do you get it?
I do. All right, what's in this one? Ah, banana peel. That'd be wild.
Watch out.
Yeah. All right, this is also a very good bit. It's a dog taking a shit, but this time it's on the moon. There's stars and Earth.
Earth 2, yes.
Earth 2 in the back. Jason X, 3 out of 10. Yeah, these are good. Where's the other one? This is a good bit.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like that. That's good. What is your history with Jason X?
I believe you and I watched it.
We did. There
Many
was a
moons
night
ago?
quite a while ago. We were both very drunk. And we were looking at I'm Sorry to Bother You. It had just come out and it was streaming. And for some reason, probably my dumbass was like, we should watch Jason X. And you were like, oh, yes. Because you were drunk enough to be very excited about it.
Yeah.
And then we watched it and I was like, oh, shit. This is not good. But you seem to love it.
Yeah.
Turns out you don't even remember.
No, I remember none of it. No.
But you did cling on to...
I was like, yo, Jason's in space. I don't know how this can't be good.
Yeah.
And we watched it last night and I was like, oh.
Oh.
So it's your history with Jason X besides that? Because that's mine.
My history with it was as a kid. I remember watching it. I I was very young, but I remember I've discussed this before as a kid. Like, if you were a beefcake, you were okay in my book. I remember really liking the Jason X design, but I don't really remember giving a shit about the movie. I just remember seeing it a couple of times.
Yeah.
You know, when you're a kid, you just kind of like let shit play sometimes.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Fuck
Yeah.
it, I'm gonna put this one in again. I don't necessarily like
Absolutely,
it. But
yeah.
like, what else am I gonna do with a Wednesday? So yeah, I've just seen it a lot as a child. As I grew a bit older, I was kind of like, all right, this one doesn't really have any redeeming qualities compared to the rest of them. This is a low for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's fucking Jason in space.
I had a blast. Not gonna lie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, from my understanding, Sean Cunningham and company, as I said earlier, were trying to keep Jason still in the public mind, and they thought for a long time, they were like, oh, Jason in the snow, Jason yada yada, and I guess someone said Jason in space, and they were like, oh yeah, let's do it. And they all loved it, loved the idea, loved the script. Apparently the studio interfered and made them make it a little more Joss Whedon-y with the shit, and just
did they?
Yeah.
That's a joke. Because yeah, of course they did.
And basically, by the time the studio got their grubby hands off of it, everybody was kind of like, it didn't really turn out the way that we kind of had envisioned. But here we are.
I'm a huge sucker. I always love different decades idea of the far future.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's why I was excited about this, because I do love that like 90s Firefly industrial space.
Yeah.
Like where there's just like spaceships are driven by basically truckers.
Yeah.
And mechanics and stuff like that. I love that. I mean, I know that's what Alien is.
Yeah,
but
started
like,
with Alien, but it
I
stuck
feel like
around
it got
for a long time.
really ramped up in the 90s. And then we're watching it and I'm seeing these spaceships. I'm like, yeah, this is what I want. And then you're like, yeah, they Joss Whedon this up because Firefly and Buffy and stuff were really big. And I was like, oh, that makes it so much worse. And like, that's all I could see through the whole thing. And there's so much like, even like when I jump in ahead to the end, when he turns his fuckbot into a killing machine. We'll get there.
Yeah.
When he turns her into big time killing machine, he turns her into what's her name from Underworld.
Yeah.
And remember in Underworld where she shoots a circle around her so she can fall through the floor?
Of course I do.
She does that to Jason, and it looks so bad.
All right, from the top, it's 2010. Jason has been captured. I assume they did it with a giant net. And he's just at some kind of research facility.
Isn't it crazy how one of the futures in this movie is technically the past?
Whoa. But basically, Big Daddy Cronenberg shows up and he's like, hey, something. I don't know what. For some reason, he wants to move Jason or something. What is it?
He shows up and he's like, hey, I don't know what, something.
Yeah.
No, he's like, hey, this guy is unkillable. We need to
Right.
do more research on
Yes.
him. We're taking him across the country.
Yeah.
And Hot Scientist is like, that's not okay. You're
Yeah.
all going to die.
Yeah. Her name is Vanessa, I believe?
Sure.
Or is there someone named Janessa in this?
Yes, there's a Janessa.
There's a Janessa.
Her name's Rowan.
Rowan. Okay. Rowan. So she hides around the corner, and Cronenberg and company go. And they pull the blanket off Jason because there was a guy who put the blanket on Jason.
Yes.
But now he's where Jason was, chained up like an animal. Jason's on the loose. He fights everybody like Halloween Kills.
Mm-hmm.
And then stabs Cronenberg with like almost like a javelin throw type motion.
Yes. I told you while we were watching this, I was like, yeah, seeing this, I can absolutely understand why the Mortal Kombat guys were like, yo, let's get Jason in the mix.
Yeah, because he has a chain and whips it Ghost Rider style around someone's neck and then pulls them back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the Scorpio.
Yeah.
Scorpion.
And then Ronan shows up, and she puts him in the cryogenic freezing chamber, but he chops it up a little bit, and then it cryogenically freezes the whole room until 24:55.
Yeah, which is an insane amount of time.
Yeah. Then what we learn is a team of school students find him down there. You get your first little kind of jokey joke of the movie where they're looking at him and someone's like, what is on his face? And they're like, it's some kind of body armor. And the fuck robot says, That's a hockey mask. Hockey was outlawed by the Canadian government in 2024 or something like that.
You heard it here first, Hockey. Your days are numbered.
Yeah. They decide to crack it open. He's a big old J-sickle.
There you go.
He's a big old J-sickle.
He falls down.
Chops off Jay's arm.
Yeah, Jay. Somehow, white guys with dreads have existed. Well, I'm sorry to tell you, whoever's listening.
But in 2455...
They're sticking around for a while.
Yeah, they're not going anywhere. They also grab Ronan, and they take both of them up to the ship. The ship is called the Grendel.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay.
On the Grendel, there is Max Keebler's big move principal.
Yeah.
Not quite. No disrespect to that guy. The principal is a better actor. And there's just a bunch of teenagers. There's the J1. There's a couple of boys and a couple of girls.
There's just folk.
There's some people on the ship.
There's kids. They're here.
There's the one that looks like Matthew Perry, who has a robot he programmed to fuck him.
Mm-hmm.
He tries to put nipples on her, but they fall off.
And make like a metal clang when they hit the floor? Don't understand that.
I'm sorry. He tries to put nipples on his robot is very funny. And the fact that they fall off.
Janessa has them.
Yeah.
Like they're magnet.
Yeah. They're doing an autopsy on Jay Dog. The girl in the sweater. The blue sweater. She's cutting his face around the mask.
Yes. Meanwhile, they have...
she cuts out his eyeball, and puts it in the little...
Yeah.
Ugh,
it's gross, but very clearly just a peeled grape. Yes. Meanwhile, they're resuscitating or bringing back to life Rowan. And they have her hooked up in this big, fancy space machine on a space ship. And these weird, like, nanobots are, like, rebuilding her and stuff like that. And, like, they got this, like, crazy technology to, like, unthaw her and stuff like that. And then you cut it over to Jason, and he's on a big grill, basically.
Yeah. When she comes to, they explain to her that, like, Earth has been Wall-E'd, and they've made a new Earth, or they found a new Earth. One of the two. Probably found one, but I think it's funnier to say made one.
And Chris, what do they name this new Earth?
Nurth.
No, it's worse than that.
Earth 2.
Yes.
Which is wild, because if any of our naming, conventions would, be telltale as to what we would call New Earth, we would call it New Earth. New England, New York, New Jersey.
Oh, I think we'd come up with something better than that.
Apparently not. That's what we've always just thrown New Baltimore. Yeah,
but that's specifically America. The whole world would have to agree on what we call.
Yeah,
Earth
but pump
2.
the brakes for a second. It seems pretty ethnocentric. Who is in the future? Look at who's on the ship. They're all Americans.
Okay, in this movie, yes.
Yeah.
There's a black man on the ship. But
you don't have any, like, Scottish people or, like, anything like that. You just straight up, it seems like it's just Americans who have made it to 2455.
Hey, maybe there aren't even countries on Earth. We don't know. But I'm saying in real life.
Yeah. What do you think we would have called it?
I don't know. Probably like...
We probably would have gone... Nowadays, we would have gone for something like... We would have called it, like, Phoenix, or, like... Oh, wait, no, we already do Phoenix. But something that, like... Or we would have gotten, like, a Greek name that means, like, hope or something, you know what I'm saying? Like, Utopia, but not Utopia, you know what I'm saying?
We name it Phoenix, and then in Arizona, too, there's an Earth, Arizona. No, we'd probably call it, like... Gaia or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like something like that, like ancient-y that means something like beautiful or whatever. Yeah. All right. So anyways, she's doing this autopsy. Someone's fucking on the ship, and Jason doesn't like that.
And that's what wakes him up. Yeah.
It is what wakes him up. Yes. He gets up. This is something that people in the fan base love, the cryogenic head smash kill. The Mythbusters even did this. They busted it. You can't do this. But yeah, he grabs her head, puts her in the liquid liquid nitrogen?
Yeah.
And smashes it?
I hate this scene before he smashes her.
Okay, go on.
Because...
When she lifts the mask and it's all wet and goopy?
No, when she turns around and she's typing on her computer and Jason's hand moves and she turns around and nothing happens. And then we cut to another scene and we cut back there and like Jason's head moves a little bit and she turns around and nothing happens. And then she turns around and nothing happens.
Yeah.
And then she turns around and he's gone.
Oh.
And then he comes off screen and kills her. Like just
Spooky.
No, it's not a spooky.
Spooky.
Okay, it's a spooky.
Now he's a loose on the ship, though. After taking future machete.
Which I hate.
Yeah.
I hate that it's backwards.
We also get... Because I think it's supposed to be a saw. It's supposed to be some kind of saw. It's got like a serrated edge on the inside curve.
Yeah.
Max Keeble Principal calls a guy who seems like his body has shut down from smoking or something. Seems like a smoker.
I think he's just laying in bed.
I thought he couldn't move and shit like that.
No, I
thought
think
it was some sort of...
I think he just called him while he was asleep, and they
Ah.
live in those little like tube, like
Yeah.
those Japanese hotels.
Uh-huh.
This guy, I like.
You like this guy?
Yeah, because he's got no front teeth, and he talks like this.
Yeah, I think it's from smoking.
He's just fun.
I think he
like
lost his teeth from smoking.
God, I hope so. I hope that's gonna happen to me someday.
Oh. But anyways, basically
If you're-
he says they
if you're
just have a
listening,
conversation.
God, I don't.
They have a conversation about how money rules the world, and for some reason this guy knows who Jason Voorhees is 500 years into the future, and says that he'd be worth a pretty penny, and they decide to they're aware of and decide to forego the whole concept that this might be more trouble than it's worth, and let's just keep this murder machine on the ship, because if I can get him back there. Here's something: why not just keep them on ice till both people? They don't have some way to cryogenically freeze both these people until
Yeah,
they can take them to another facility.
that's a great point.
Is that a good idea to just be thawing people out?
It seems like they had the.
But I just mean in that setting, you're on a little school field trip. Even if you're future anthropologist or biologist or whatever, any kind of find you probably want to bring back to the authorities and then have them decide what you want to do with that thing. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, I just assumed that these were college kids,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
and
yeah.
I don't know, maybe they're.
What I'm saying is that they have supervising faculty. That's what the principal. He's not an actual principal, but that's
Yeah.
what that character's supposed to be. He's supposed to be their professor.
Yeah, and maybe I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe this goes into a journal, and they're like, yeah, we found because the guy said earlier that there are thousands and thousands of people who have been frozen from the past.
Yeah,
walking
but just
around
not this
still,
far back.
but not this far back.
Yeah.
So I could see this being like a college study and the shit like that. And it seemed like they had everything pretty. They had the facilities to do it on the ship. The ship was kind of designed to do that, maybe. But also,
You think that's what they're on the hunt for? Is frozen people?
yeah.
Yeah.
Or just for artifacts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What's a better artifact than a dude and a lady?
Yeah. Well, he goes off and he kills a couple people having sex.
He kills the guy.
The guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lady runs around. She makes it back to the group.
Yeah. Cockpit?
And- Sure.
Starfleet?
The deck.
Captain's log?
Holodeck. They do have a holodeck.
Oh.
I think next we get the holodeck.
Okay.
Also,
You take the reins. I'm lost for a little bit here.
Oh,
People
so
are
am
just
I.
kind of running around.
people are running around this whole movie.
Just
yeah.
doing stuff.
They
They tease the guy who has a fuckbot.
yeah.
Kind of rightfully so. Because
Yeah.
they're not mean about it. They're just yeah, you made this robot the fuck.
Yeah, this is KM.
He's like, oh, cut it out, guys.
I did. I built her to love me. And he tries to put the nipples on her. They fall off, and then the guy dies. And then I think we cut to Jay and Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Who is the writer of this movie?
Yeah,
Fun fact.
shooting big, bad CGI monsters.
That is true.
And then they're like, "Oh, who's this?" And it's Jason, and he shows up and he cuts one of the guys in half.
They're like,
and
cut the sim.
yeah.
I said cut the sim.
And it turns out they're just on the Oculus Rift,
Yeah.
and
Then they get killed a second time.
they get to get told twice. Also awful. They do so much impressive stuff. Not impressive. It's pretty easy to see what they're doing, but they do a lot of stuff later where the robot is just ahead,
Yeah.
and it looks fine.
Uh-huh.
But in this bit, when they're in the game and Stone Cold's head gets cut off, and then he's like, "Cut the sim."
Yeah, it goes down to 6 frames a
Yeah,
second.
it's insane.
Yeah.
So he kills them. He kills more people. He kills a lot of people.
Yeah.
And then they talk to security on the ship, and they're like, "Hey, we're all gonna hide in this room and drive to a space station."
Yeah, Solaris. They're very close to Solaris.
Yeah.
We're gonna dock at Solaris.
Yeah, we're gonna see George Clooney, and he's gonna help us. But what does he tell him to do? The security guy's like, "I'm gonna kill Jason."
Yes, and the
And-
principal's like, I'll give you money if you don't.
And he's like, oh, really, 5,000? He's like, yeah. And he's like, okay. And then he tells his team, Doc wants us to bring him back alive, so after you blow this guy to bits, shoot him in the leg so we can say we tried. It's like fun. I like this guy. He's my favorite character.
Okay. They do dock at Solaris, but not well, and they end up blowing up all of Solaris.
Yes.
Yeah. Now they're just
Fucked.
wandering in space alone. Not doing well.
Not doing well.
Yeah. They hatch a plan to get to the shuttle, like the thing that the safety boat.
Yeah, the escape
Pod, yes. That doesn't work out.
Yes, we skip right past a bit where the engineer on the ship, the dude with the bandana,
Yeah.
is tinkering
On plants, it looks like.
Yeah, and Jason shows up behind him and he goes, "What the heck?" And all the gunmen go, "Get down!" And he gets down and they just start blasting.
Yeah.
Just like that scene in Predator, just left to right. Except in Predator, they're shooting into the forest, being like, "I'm gonna shoot as much space as possible so I can hit them." In this, they're 20 feet away from him.
Yeah.
They don't need to be going left and right. Just shoot directly at him. And it cuts to them shooting, and then it cuts back to where Jason was standing, and he was gone. And they're like, "Oh, where'd he go? How did you lose him?"
Yeah.
Awful filmmaking, awful writing, bad movie.
Yeah. Then
Go think about what you've done. Come back in 20.
Then
Shuttle. Then the runner.
shuttle doesn't work though, for some reason.
Jason kills all of gunmen
Yes.
except for main man, whose name I can't remember.
Because their plan becomes, we're gonna get to this half of the ship and then blow the other half off.
That's after the shuttle.
Because this part
anymore.
could dock, but not if we have the other half on it, or something like that.
Okay, sure.
But I know that the guy who's the main gunman, they bring him back to life. They're able to save him.
Yeah, he doesn't get got by Jason.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no. Jason stabs him through a wall. He goes, "It's gonna take more than that to kill old main guy." And he stabs him again and goes, "Yeah, that'll do it."
Pretty funny.
I like it.
Yeah, that'll do it. Then I don't know when this happens, but I'm gonna cut to it. KM gets an upload.
Yeah. They're like, "Oh, what are we gonna do?" And Robot Maker Man, and KM are talking, and she's like, "Yeah, there's a 12% success rate." He's like, "Oh, couldn't it be any higher?" And she's like, "No." And then they kiss, and she's like,
Oh, I would want to mention the kiss. One little thing. They got one little strand of spit that connects their mouths for like 1 second.
I gag a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
And they kiss, and she goes, "It just went up to 56%." And he's like,
Why would it though?
"Don't know." Because he has something to fight for now. I don't know. And now she cares. I don't know.
Okay.
He programmed what he called a Sleeping Beauty protocol, so that whenever he kissed her, she worked better. I don't know.
Okay.
And she's like, "Yeah, we're at 56% success rate now, or we have a 56% chance of making it now." And he's like, "Well, let's make that higher." And they kiss again, and then it cuts to everyone else on the other side of the ship, and they're like, "Oh, fucking shit, we're fucked, And Geppetto comes out, and he's like, "Guess what? Check out my Pinocchio now." And KM comes out, and she's like in all leather and has 1,000 guns. And they're like, "What happened?" And he's like, "I gave her an upload." And in unison, me and you both went, "Load!" And she's basically Underworld. And then Jason is like,
blown to bits.
still, I did not, much like the boat in Manhattan, they really, really got me with Jason is at the beginning of this movie, and I'm like, looks like shit, bro. Looks like a Spirit Halloween costume, because his clothes are all tattered and stuff like that, but they're still crisp and new. Like they've just been cut with scissors to look like that. And I thought, well, you only see him for a minute like this, so it doesn't matter. He is like this for most of the movie.
Yeah.
KM comes, blows him to pieces, because she has super guns that they didn't use until right now for some reason.
She's able to shoot a leg off, an arm off, blow his head.
Clean off, yeah.
Clean off.
And they're like, fucking, yeah, hell yeah, we did it. Now let's fuck off. They call for help. And then they realize that they have a leak somewhere, and the ship's going to blow up in 30 minutes. And the rescue's not going to be able to make it there until 45. And that's why they blow up the other side of the ship to get it off of theirs, because that'll blow up. That's why they blow up the walkways to detach the ship from the other thing, so they don't blow up the rescue when it gets there. While this is happening, Metal Crabs fix Jason, and now he Uber Jason.
Yeah. When you said metal crabs, I just imagined a robot Mr. Krabs.
Yes. Jason gets up and he's like, ravioli, give me the formioli.
Got a really nice turtleneck now.
Great turtleneck.
Black cargo pants that are tucked into combat boots, it looks like.
No, I think it's a one piece. I think the turtleneck and the pants are one piece that the computer didn't bother putting over the metal bits that they gave him.
Gotta show the goods.
And then they're like, cool, let's get out of here. Oh, piss. It's Jason.
Yeah.
Bastard. And
they kind of try to future Bugs Bunny him by tricking him into thinking he's in Camp Crystal Lake again.
Oh, yeah, Geppetto turns on the holodeck. And, yeah.
We get a reprise of we're thinking about smoking some weed, having some sex, and getting slaughtered.
One of the fun facts I read. I'm coming at you with the facts now.
Whoa.
Director didn't like this scene, didn't want it in there. Thought it was just nudity for nudity's sake, didn't want it. Casting director, she didn't want it either, thought it was nudity for nudity's sake. So she said, I'm not going to cast these actors.
Yeah.
You guys figure it out. And I am so confused, Chris, because if the director and the casting director don't want this scene in the movie, who's making that decision to put this in the movie?
Yeah, got to be some kind of higher up.
Yeah, the two women that they hired for this apparently were stoked because it was the biggest movie they've ever been in.
Wow.
And so, yeah, they do that, and the girls go, oh, now we're cold. We're going to get in these sleeping bags. And then it cuts somewhere else. They're doing whatever on the spaceship, and then it cuts back to the simulation. And both of the sleeping bags are closed, and Jason has one with a girl in it, slamming it against the other girl on the ground. Very funny hard cut. Love it.
Yeah. Jason sees through the sim with his third eye.
Yeah, his eyes are red now, which is strange.
They are, yeah. And the mask reminds me of a duck bill.
Yes, it looks like the Mighty Ducks.
And I don't mean to be vulgar, but his skin looks like a nutsack.
It really do.
After being burned.
Mm-hmm.
A burnt up nutsack. Then he comes out of the simulation.
Yeah, I think the rescue's there, and they're all hooked up, and he's like, fucking come on, get through this big plastic tube onto my ship.
Yeah.
And main military guy is in a spacesuit from 2001: A Space Odyssey. He's on the outside of the ship just doing
If anybody has seen it, he looks like the Red Scare from the first episode of The Tick with Patrick Warburton.
Yes, he does.
He looks like the communist killing machine that's programmed to kill Jimmy Carter.
He does. And then fighting happens, and then they get on the ship, but guy from The Tick stays behind and rockets Jason into the earth.
First what happens is the thing blows up, and then Matthew Perry is looking out the window. He goes, he's coming right here, and Jason is flinging at light speed towards the thing,
and then
towards their pod.
Yes, and then a JPEG of
of the Red Scare
is dragged across the screen.
Yeah, and intercepts him, bringing him to Earth, to Nurth, and they crash land at the bottom of the lake.
And someone in flip-flops, flip-flops and cargo pants, which I guess exist in 2455. Go, look, a shooting star. And then Jason's mask sinks to the bottom of the ocean, a lake.
Yeah.
And then it's over.
If you were going to make a sequel to Jason X, starting there, with the idea of him at the bottom of that lake, what's your pitch?
My pitch... Jason XX.
The third one could be Jason XXX, and it could be a porno.
It could. It might. Don't get ahead of me. Jason gets out of the lake somehow. There's a future Carrie. I don't know.
Okay.
He comes out. He's all wet. He's rusted.
Oh.
I
like that.
Pieces of him and his metal are just falling off.
He crawls into the sewer. To heal.
He crawls into the sewer, meets some some real chill turtles. No, he's crawling through the sewer. He's killing people in a space sewer, which looks a lot like the corridors from that spaceship.
Okay.
save a quick buck, just film it there, you know?
Sure.
Just distress some of the stuff, put some seaweed up. I don't know what sewers look like. Until they capture, a movie happens, and then they're trying to trick Jason into a big comedically sized oven, because they're just going to bake him. They're just going to, like an incinerator, they're just going to cook him. And instead of getting him into the cooker, they accidentally get him into the opposite of a cooker, a thing just full of metal crabs. And it rebuilds him on a molecular level and turns him into a new man, brain and everything, fully cognitive, still just a killing machine that wants to kill all the time.
Oh, I thought maybe now he has empathy and stuff, and the first thing he says when he comes out of the oven is, "I'm sorry."
You're getting ahead of me. He's got empathy and stuff like that. He's a normal working man. He comes out. He's got the mask. It's still all... No, it's not rusty because of the metal crabs. It's new, and he goes...
Takes it off. His face is fine.
He goes, "I'm sorry. I'm
better now.
I'm better now. I would like to help my fellow man in any way that I can."
Yeah.
And they go, "Well, do you still want us to call you Jason?" And he goes, "No, you can call me." And he takes the mask off, and it's Vin Diesel, and he goes, "XXX." And then the next one, it's a prequel to XXX, and you didn't know the whole time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I was thinking more like maybe they capture him and they put him in some sort of like future gladiator dome.
That's way better. You should have interrupted me.
Where he fights in like a future gladiator coliseum.
That'd be cool.
Like
I'd watch that.
Thor movie.
Yeah, like the Thor movie.
Yeah.
Or Thunderdome. I've never seen Thunderdome.
And then maybe he accidentally gets out, and it's one of those things where he's like an anti-hero because he like kills people and stuff, but then also like the main person he's after, for no reason, not intentionally, it just happens to be that way, is like the guy who's been doing this to gladiators.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're kind of rooting for him to get that guy.
Oh, no, Chris, I've got it.
Okay.
Movie opens. It's the exact same shot that this one ends with.
Okay.
With his metal mask at the bottom of the lake.
Save that money.
Save that money. But now we're going to waste some money.
Okay.
Because we cut to... This movie ends in 2455, right?
Sure.
Chris, we cut to 3455. This ocean...
It's the future.
It's the future. It's Nurth 2, and Nurth 2 looks like Nurth 1. It is just... This ocean has dried up.
It's the third planet we've ruined.
Yeah, we have not learned our lesson from Earth, and Nurth is just fucked now. And so this lake, or ocean, or wherever he is dried up, and it's basically a desert now. But you see his little mask still poking out of the sand, right?
Okay.
And what do you hear? What do you hear off in the distance? Close. You hear, vroom, 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 and then a bunch of cars come by with just a bunch of crazy wild men on there.
Yeah.
And there's one guy with a guitar, and some guy spray paints his mouth silver and goes, "Witness me." And it's Mad Max. And Mad Max is driving by, and then his car stops. He goes, "Oh, why's my car stopping?" He looks down, and Jason's arm's coming out of the sand.
Yeah.
And it stopped the car, and now it's Jason versus Mad Max.
Yeah.
We're making that money, Chris.
Well, here's what I'm saying. Mix the two ideas. There's a Mad Max style gladiator dome that
yes,
those
that's
people
what we're going
put him
because I
in
said
it.
Thunderdome, yeah. And they put him in the gladiator dome.
But I guess
Chris, they strap him to the front of a car, and then they drive him there, or they're just smashing him through stuff because he's indestructible.
But then do we have someone who's been like frozen from his time or something like that?
No, he's just lost in this Mad Max world.
Okay, and things are happening around him. He just happens to be in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And Tom Hardy's there as Mad Max. He feels for the guy because he knows what it's like to be treated like a piece of meat like this.
All right, someone tweet this at Sean Cunningham.
And then they fight at the end.
Yeah.
Mad Max wins, obviously.
Yeah.
Anyway, read your questions.
Oh, right. Yeah, I forgot about those things again. All right, here's my questions from the bottom of Nurth 2's lake. Jason's drip.
First strip, awful. Hate it.
Yeah.
Uber Jason, love it.
Yeah.
I wish I didn't, but I do. I love it.
Yeah, I gotta say, first Jason, the buzz cut's weird.
That's right. He's got hair.
Yeah, to this point,
like not like the last one where it's weird and stringy. It's just like weird, kind of matted.
Normal.
Yeah.
He's got normal hair. Who's cutting his hair? He's cutting his own hair.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe just at a certain point it stopped growing because he's a corpse.
Because it's so matted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Normal shaped head. Never before has it looked more like Kane Hodder in a mask.
Oh yeah.
They didn't put seemingly any effort into putting him into like makeup and prosthetics underneath it to make him look monstrous.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure was good for Kane. Like, because I know, for example, in Part 9, it was just hell, because in all of the other movies you could just take the hockey mask off. That one, it was part of the mask.
Yeah.
So when you're all out of your breath, you're just catching your breath inside of
Mm-hmm.
the hockey mask, and he said it was literally hell. That drip looks awful, and I also don't care for Uber Jason. Sorry.
Really? You?
Yeah.
Out of all people, don't he looks like an action figure you would have loved as a kid.
As
Chris.
a kid, yeah.
Oh,
I don't know.
okay.
No, I'm not trying to pull that card. I'm really not trying to. I do not judge you for liking it. I understand the appeal. I'm just
saying that's where the appeal comes from. Is
Yeah.
if I saw that, I for some reason did not see this as a kid, but
Yeah.
if I was 9
Yeah.
when I saw this for the first time, I'd be like, I gotta get that action figure.
Yeah.
I gotta get Dad to take me to FYE and get this action figure that doesn't move. It's just
Yeah.
one static plastic pose.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about. One of my birthdays, I got a Spawn
Hell yeah.
statuette like that. Vibes, I'm just going to take the reins here. Dog shit, this is Sci-Fi Channel vibes. This is bad vibes.
Yeah, this is just bad Firefly.
Yeah. Ranking overall, just a quick refresher for you, Nick. We're looking at 5, 4, 6, 2, 9, 3, 1, 8, 7.
I put 9 above 2, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna put this right under 2.
Okay. So above 9.
I'm sorry, did my list go 9 then 2?
No, you said put it under 2 last time.
Okay, so put this above 9.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So now we're reading 5, 4, 6, 2, X, 9, 3, 1, 8, 7.
Sounds good to me, yeah.
Okay. And I'm going 6, 5, 4, 9, 3, 2, 1, 8, 7, X.
Really, last place.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a rough one for me. You want to rate it?
D+.
Okay. Give it an F.
Understandable.
Yeah.
Respectable.
Yeah. I just don't have fun with this one as much. I just don't.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
He said he gave her an upload, and that'll never not be funny to me.
Hey, entirely fair. And in my opinion, this is kind of like the bookend to all the kind of standalone Jasons of the main continuity. I guess 9 was, because 10 is, I don't think, canonical.
Yeah.
But either way, whether you consider it 9 or 10, you know, this is kind of home stretch territory. We've finished up with 1 through 9, which is kind of the classic run. Any closing thoughts on that before we move on to the next chapter? How's your experience been thus far? You know, how you feeling?
It's weird. I thought these movies would have the same trajectory that Halloween did, where there's just a gradual but very clear decline as the movies go on.
Yeah.
And I've been very surprised by these. As you know, we've talked about it every week. Yeah, I'm pretty pleased with this experience that we've gone on. I think I might. I don't know. I want to say I've had more fun with these than I did with Halloween.
Yeah.
But with Halloween, we did
giant net. I get it.
He got caught in a giant net, and Paul Rudd was there later. No, I
Paul
think
Steven Rudd.
True. We shotgunned those. We watched them all in a row.
They're definitely ripe for a review as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and I feel like I was like pretty delirious by the end of it from having consumed so much of it that I was just having a blast. But I don't know. I think with these, I just wasn't super taken with the first 3, and then 4, 5, and 6. I genuinely really like. And then these are just these last 3. I mean, these last 4 are just sad.
Yeah,
They're just a bummer to watch.
yeah.
I mean, 9 had Creighton Duke, but besides that, just very, very no one making these movies. It feels like a majority of the people making these movies just do not give a shit. And it's a bummer, and it's been a real roller coaster, Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing that's a little bit of a tricky situation. Like, having watched the Crystal Lake Memories, the people who made these ones did.
Oh, no, don't tell me that.
These were, like, their best ideas that they were psyched about.
Oh, no, don't tell me that.
Yeah. Like, they were psyched to put Jason in space. They were psyched to have him fight Carrie. They were psyched to get him to New York, but again, like, the studio got in the way and made him stay on the boat the whole time. 9, they were psyched, little 23-year-old Adam Marcus, but specifically so he could get his hands on it and do everything that isn't a Friday the 13th movie.
Yeah. Well, then I apologize to those people.
Yeah.
Didn't mean to discredit you and your work and how much faith you put into it. But hey, listen, making a movie's hard.
It is.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, it is.
But also,
it's hard to make the 9th and the 10th and the 8th and the 7th of anything. Except James Bond, apparently. I guess that can just...
It's got legs.
Yeah.
No, I'm pretty sure James
there
Bond...
are bad ones.
James Bond had this point too, yeah.
Yeah.
But I, thinking about it in this whole run of things, shout out to Adam Scott. What was the director's name of the last one?
Oh, Adam Marcus.
Yes, because I feel like if I had to direct the 9th Friday the 13th movie, I don't think I would come up with anything nearly as good as, okay, we open with Jason hunting someone and then he gets blown to bits by the FBI.
Yeah. What I was thinking about when we were watching Jason X was like, I think it'd be an interesting double feature to watch the first one and then watch Jason X. Just because it is, to a degree, like, I don't know what you want to call it, but it is a bit crazy to just think that, like, this cheap movie made in 1980, literally just to rip off Halloween, continued until he was in space in 2003.
And also, they weren't allowed to call it by its name anymore. Yeah. Really, this is 2003, and the next one's 2003, which means they rebooted it 5 years later. Wow. Okay. We watched the trailer for the reboot last night. I'm no longer excited for it.
Yeah.
Because it's a Michael Bay joint, so I did not know that.
Yeah.
So it's gonna have a worse 2009 stink on it than I thought it would.
Yeah, I think there's a Michael Bay produced, like, 2003 Texas Chainsaw Massacre that's a reboot. It's what kicked off the interest in, like, rebooting Friday the 13th, rebooting Nightmare on Elm Street, is how well that movie did. Not necessarily critically, but with fans and, like, box office. Like, it made a lot of money.
Yeah.
And there are some things that interest me. Like, for example, the guy from Full Metal Jacket that plays the drill sergeant plays just a deranged sheriff, and everybody says he knocks it out of the fucking park.
Yeah, no, I've seen this movie, yeah.
Yeah, and also Toby Hooper and the screenwriter of the first one are back as, like, producers. They have the actual director of photography from the first one back.
That's cool.
And people always just talk about how it's, like, pre-Saw, pre-Hostel, and still just balls to the wall brings, like, disgusting exploitation violence to, like, theaters that just had not been in the theaters at that point. Like, just a couple years later, it would start to be really big. But at the same time, it was made in 2003 with Michael Bay being involved, and, like, it just has that stank in it. Like, people have that, like, pre-Justin Bieber, like, you know what I mean, like, embryonic version, like, kind of haircut, but are also ripped. You know what I'm saying? Like that.
No, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah,
like that 2003 look of, like, having Shaggy Rogers hair but being fucking
yoked.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson ripped.
Yeah,
such a weird. Like, there's just something about the early to mid aughts that just rubs me the wrong way. Like just real bad. I'm pretty much fine with everything up until 2001 and everything after, like, 2009. But there's, like, an 8-year stretch in the aughts that are just a little gross to me.
Yeah, I like how we're all kind of collectively, as a culture, like, there is, like, an aughts revival, like, when it comes to, like, music and stuff like that, in very select fashion.
Yeah.
But I like that as a people, we
made some mistakes.
We're forgetting this one, okay?
But I think that might be that, Andrews, man. Is it time for that? Is it time for it to be that? Is it bedtime?
Did you ask all your questions?
Didn't I? Oh, I didn't, did I? We got to ranking. No, it's okay. Favorite character.
Favorite character? The main military guy. I cannot remember his name.
Yeah. I don't think I have one.
Understandable. Next question.
How bad Jason be stankin'?
Jason be stankin', bad at the beginning, fine after he gets metal crab fixed.
Comparatively, is this the stinkiest Jason? Not so stinky?
Last one's stinkiest, yeah.
I'd say he's not so stanky, it looks like. Favorite scare?
Favorite scare?
I'm thinking you like that sleeping bag gag.
I can't remember any of them.
Yeah.
I really can't.
Yeah. Best worst?
Best is Upload. Worst is Upload.
Yeah, I'm going to say best. Upload definitely gets an honorable mention. Cronenberg being in there for a second, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
Worst? Yeah. I'm not trying to be a dick, but it's nothing really sinks lower than anything else in it. It's kind of...
Oh, no, you know what's worse?
For me, what?
You know what's the absolute worst part of this movie?
What?
Oh, this sucks on so many levels.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, from what I heard, that actress fought that line hard, but they made her say it.
I thought for sure she was going to get sucked to that hole. Like all of her organs were going to get sucked out of her butt. Like her butt was just, like Winnie the Pooh was just going to get stuck in the hole.
Okay. Didn't happen that way. And now I think that is that mattress man? Is that what time it is? Is it bedtime?
Yeah.
Now for real?
Yeah, it's bedtime. It's 11 o'clock, Chris.
If you need more soup, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, or go to our website, eatingsoupalone.com. And until next time,